Okay, so hi guys, we are going to look at this question for 2024 GCE on bank reconciliation. So you have to take note that this question comes every year. Yeah. So the bank statement for M2Melo for the month of August 2022 is as follows. You can see there we have the balance, those deposit, and also we have the cash book down here. So you have to take note of two things. This debit side represents the what? The payments. So in the bank, the debit side will represent what? The payments. Whilst the credit side will represent the what? The deposit. So things we deposit will be written in the credit side of the bank. And things we pay, which means things that are moving out of the bank, you record it on the debit side. So as you can see, our first question, you have a balance. So if you say that the debit side is the payment, and you can see here, once this transaction for debit was recorded, the balance increased. So if the balance increased whilst we made the payment, meaning this balance is also what? Credit, meaning it's for payments. Why? Because we said when we make payment, if the balance is debit, you have to subtract. But if you make payment while the balance is credit, it will increase. So that's the situation here. So another point you have to take note of that. Yeah. Then again, when we come to the cash book, here you can see that the balance which was carried down was also what? Credit. If you can see here, the last balance we have is what? Debit, meaning the balance at the start of the next month will be what? Credited. Another point you have to take note is that the balance we use when you are preparing the updated cash book is the balance which was what? Brought down the next month. So for example, here we have August. So meaning the balance we'll consider will be for September. So we won't consider this for debit side, but we'll come and consider the amount which will be here for what? Credit side. Yeah. So the examiner also here knew. So he had to put this to make the question a bit tricky. Yeah. So basically that's are the things you need to look out for here. So now moving on to our first step when solving this question. So step one is that you have to identify first the transactions which are present on the bank statement but absent in the what? Cash book, and vice versa. So let's start. So we have August 8, we have what? Elmule, we have what? 305. Then here we also have 305. Then we have KDM 610. We also have KDM 610. Then here we have Southern Water Company 800, which was what? It was debited in the cash book, meaning this was what? A deposit. If it is debited in the cash book follows the normal procedure. Debit the receiver and credit the what? The giver. Yeah. So here we debited the receiver, then we credited the givers. But the bank is opposite. You what? Debit the giver, then you credit what? The receiver. If you understand this too, yeah. So here, this is the debit, yeah. Then we have identified our first transaction on August 20th. We have 800, which was the deposit made, but it was not showing in the bank statement. So we have put a dot on August 20th. Then you have Iran, also have Iran. Then you have BP, we also have BP. Then on 30th August, we had the Timbeo. Here we don't have Timbeo. Then on 31st August, we had the Farmers House dividend, the standing order, and the bank charges. We discussed that these three transactions do not enter into what? The cash book. Yeah. So here we have identified the transaction which are present on the bank statement but absent in the what? Cash book. And we have identified those transactions which are present in the cash book but absent on the bank statement. So now you have to write them separate at the paper. You say transaction present on the bank statement, you write. Then transaction present on the cash book, you write. Yeah. So another thing which you have to take note is that when we come to the cash book, you see we have a transaction. One transaction is on the debit side. So this transaction on the debit side is the one which is called as unpresented what? Check. It was written here in the cash book, but in the bank it's not what? Showing. Then this one on the credit side is called what? Uncredited what? Check. You credited the check, but it was not what? Credited from your bank account. Yeah. Then lastly, so the method I'm going to show you we are going to use here, which you should always use, is the simplest. So after we are done with making this transaction, the balance we should get is this one for the bank statement, which is 8,365. If you get a different answer from this one, which means your answer is what? Wrong.